To help transition us into this afternoon, please give a warm welcome to the COO of MFRG Icon Construction, Brad Wright.
But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't.
Once again, welcome everybody. It's pretty difficult to follow that. So one more recognition for Carino. I mean, see, we wanted to show her off today a little bit because it's extraordinary what she does, and she just has a beautiful voice. So thank you, Carino. I also want you to take a minute real quick and kind of look in the mirror and thank yourselves for being here today. At some point over the past few months, you made this conscious decision to show up today and to become more impactful leaders, to impact your cultures on a better level. And collectively, I mean, look around the room real quick. Seriously. How many lives are being changed because of the people in this room? So let's, round of applause for all of you in this room. I think it's fantastic. I saw a handshake there. That's a good handshake. Honestly, it's a privilege for me to be here, but before I get going and talk a little bit about leadership as we go into this awesome afternoon, I want you to get to know me a little bit more. And it's interesting, we have a lot in common. There's no doubt about it. We all make this incredible social impact on affordable housing. But something else we have in common is this little community right here. And it probably looks familiar to a lot of you. It could look like one of the communities you've developed or worked on. Well, that little pinpoint right there is a 900 square foot, 2-bedroom apartment. It's in the suburbs of Denver. And that housed myself, my younger brother, my younger sister, my single mom, and oftentimes my grandfather. And the reason I show this to you today, because what we have in common is our ability to change lives over generations. I still look at this picture, and I still think about a lot of the things that I was influenced by there. And I know this, that if I had not had a home, an affordable home, that my mom could take care of us in, it wasn't about how many meals we had the same night consecutively. It wasn't if we had enough money for lunches or anything like that. It was the consistency of it. So I think when you think about what you do on a daily basis, remember that you're impacting generations. I got to stay in that same place until I graduated high school with the same friends. And it taught me a lot. It taught me who I am today. So it's not just the impact you're making today, it's the impact you're making for my kids and their kids. So thank you for that. As I said earlier, I get the opportunity today to kind of kick things off as we get going with Simon and his team. This afternoon is going to be kick-ass. We have a breakout session that you're going to just dig into your why and really touch base with your mission and your vision. And then this afternoon, we get to hear Simon himself come up, and this intimate setting is going to be amazing. So he's also going to do a Q&A. I think it's important that all of you start writing down some questions you might have for Simon now. And the reason I get to stand up here today, because we spoke to Simon a couple weeks ago, and I told him, I said, really, your books have influenced a lot of the culture and leadership that we've put into play over the last couple years at MFRG Icon. And it's an honor for me to say that I get to be the co-architect of a culture now that by many independent outlets is considering world-class. And I can't think of a better person to come in and help us and teach us than Simon and his team. So I came up with this little concept. It's called the EIV, the Leadership Cocktail. It's interesting. I came up with it because I had a bender in Vegas on Friday night. And then I went into the Cosmopolitan, and I got the IV that hydrated me. Who's done the IV? Some hands. Come on. But really, it rehydrated me, and I thought about that. I was like, every single leader we have needs a little hydration, right? We all get in our ruts. So I came up with 4 concepts, 4 leadership traits. And listen, the reality is we could all write down one word that describes leadership to us, and guess what? There's probably going to be 70 different words, right? So there's all these traits that go into leadership, but what I really want to touch base on today are these 4. Energy, emotion, empathy, and equity. So let's start off with energy. I don't have a lot of time with you today, so I can't go into too much details, but I certainly want to get the point across. And I'm not talking about the energy that you get from 2 pots of coffee, which I've had this morning. I'm talking about the energy you get when you wake up in the morning and get out of bed and want to do something for your people. I'm talking about the energy as a leader that leads you to passion, which is a totally overused word, right? But we all have had it. And maybe some of you in this audience right now are struggling with passion. And maybe that's why you're here. The aura you have is a reflection, your culture is a reflection of the aura you have. If you're a leader of a team or a project or an entire company, think about it. What kind of energy do you walk into every single day? Look in the mirror. That energy probably reflects you. Your aura means everything. And that's why we surround ourselves with good people, because when your energy gets a little low, you need to get refueled. It's pertinent as a leader that you portray the energy that you want to see out of your culture and that you want to see out of the results of your team. The second thing, that leads me to emotion. How many have had a coach or a leader out there that shows a little bit too much emotion, especially growing up? You probably remember someone just losing their mind, right? Leaders and how they incorporate emotion into their day-to-day activities and successes and failures is critical to the stability of their culture. See, we have some leaders out there that will ride the highest highs and ride the lowest lows. When you ride the highest highs with your team, it's okay. But as a leader of a team, you need to be able to look up and you need to celebrate your people. You have to celebrate your people. But guess what? At some point, my little radio is going to go off on me. At some point, your team's going to have to level out and get back to executing. Also, on that little canyon, maybe you don't get a deal. Maybe you're not best in final. Maybe you're highest and best. Maybe you miss out on the project that was going to make your year. If you go into that canyon, what's your team going to do? They're going to go down there with you. Now think about that. Think about a roller coaster if you want. How difficult is it to put everyone right back on your back and bring them all the way back up just to even par? I'm not saying you can't celebrate, and I'm not saying you can't be happy for successes, but don't celebrate like it's the last one you're ever going to win, because it might be. And don't get down because you missed a project like it's the end of the world, because if you think about it like that, it probably will be. Be that leader that supports people up here and brings people up here, which leads me to empathy. Another overused word, in my opinion. Everyone has a different definition of empathy. For me, empathy is the ability to see it through someone else's lens. So we have a little saying at MFRG Icon about being a debate-friendly and vulnerable environment. From the day you interview with us, to the day you get hired, to the day you retire, that open door policy that we've all heard about actually exists. If you're a new team member of ours, a new family member of ours, and you walk into my office, day 2, and you say, Brad, this process is all right, but I have a better one. I think a lot of people, a lot of leaders that call themselves leaders would listen, pretend to listen, and then dismiss, right? We can all agree on that. It's human nature. You have a lot of things on your plate. You have to embrace a debate-friendly environment, and you have to be okay with seeing it through someone else's lens. If you can see what your team is thinking, and you embrace that, and you're okay with being challenged, what's that do to your culture? When your culture is vulnerable like that, you will achieve greatness. Which leads me to equity. When I say equity, I know everyone's ears in this room perk up. It's like, yeah, equity, right? I'm not talking about the equity that we hear about every day. I'm talking about human equity. My biggest compliment as a leader is when someone calls me a counselor. My biggest compliment. I couldn't ask for a better compliment. Why? Because that means my people have given me equity in their life. You have a team around you? Think about the last time you had an in-depth conversation about a struggle they have, about their marriage, finances, weight loss. I just need help getting my degree, whatever it is. See, when your people can open up to you and trust you for guidance, they'll go to battle with you. There's nothing greater than a team that you lead giving you equity in them. I've said this in the past. There is an I in team, and I know I'll probably get shot down for that, but there is. And as a leader, you need to recognize that. If you don't connect with the person in front of you that you rely on to go represent you and their family, if you don't connect with them, how do you ever expect to get where you want to go? So we need to look at that. Energy, if you need it, find someone to help you get it. Emotion, control it. Celebrate, don't get down in the dumps. Empathy, challenge yourself to be more empathetic, whether it's with your people, your peers, or your home. It'll improve who you are as a person, I promise. And finally, equity. The biggest compliment as a leader is when someone gives you equity in them. I'll leave you with this. Leadership is about a meaningful and impactful connection to those around you. When you leave here today, you're going to do your breakouts with Simon's team. You're going to hear Simon, and you're going to leave wanting more, I hope. But do this. Whatever you can do to take one piece away, one nugget away, and go implement it, will continue to change generations and thousands of lives. I look forward to a great afternoon. Thank you, everybody.